In other news, High Court jurors in the Ashanti Region have declared an indefinite strike over 13 months of unpaid allowances. Former General for the Jurors Association, Ata Aidoo, said efforts to get the allowances paid have not yielded any positive results, hence their decision to stop sitting on criminal cases where their services are needed until they are paid. Court proceedings at the Kumasi High Court could be adjourned indefinitely as a result of the strike. Ata Aidoo, who spoke to Ashanti News, expressed worry over their action but said it was only prudent since the situation is affecting their livelihoods.
We are serving 5 courts. We are serving 5 courts in Kumasi. That's the high courts that handle the criminal exercises. You see, criminal exercises. We have so many high courts, but we have high court that handle criminal exercises. So we have 2 at the appeal courts and we have 3 at the main high court. Other than that, he's a suspect or accused, and so he's found to be guilty. Then it's better that if the person will be guilty, then the person will start to case of sentence from there. And if he found not guilty, then the person will be discharged.
Ata Aidoo is a former general for the Jurors Association at the Kumasi High Court. The Supreme Court of Ghana has unanimously declared the law that allowed the government to impose COVID-19 restrictions unconstitutional. The Imposition of Restrictions Act, passed by Parliament in 2020, granted the government the power to impose restrictions in the interest of public health and safety during the pandemic. Under this law, the President had the authority to restrict public gatherings, close schools, and implement measures to regulate religious gatherings, among others. However, law professor and human rights advocate Kojo Appiagyei Etua and 8 others challenged the constitutionality of the law, arguing that it granted the president excessive powers to suspend fundamental human rights without adequate oversight from the judiciary and parliament. A 7-member panel led by Justice Jones Doche agreed with the argument, ruling that the Imposition of Restriction Act is inconsistent with the Constitution. The courts declared the law unconstitutional, null and void. The full reasons for the ruling will be made available on the 7th of June. Meanwhile, law professor and human rights advocate Kojo Appiagyei Etua spoke to the media after the ruling.
The decision means that the law which was passed in the first place was illegal, it was unconstitutional, it shouldn't have been passed because there were sufficient provisions in the Constitution to direct how the emergency should have been organized. We also made reference to the Public Health Act, which also gives an idea of how emergency should be organized in case there's a public health emergency in the country. And so that is what the court decided for us. But the case had come up earlier before the president made the announcement last week. And that announcement alone also wasn't enough because the restrictions came by a law. And so the government, the president just making a statement does not change the law. And so we are glad that the Supreme Court itself has pronounced that the law is illegal, it's unconstitutional, it shouldn't have been enacted in the first place.
That was law professor and human rights advocate Kojo Appiagyei Etua. The National Communications Authority, NCA, will from today, the 31st of May, delete all unregistered SIM cards from the database of telecommunication network operators. SIM cards which have not been re-registered with a Ghana card are expected to be deactivated. The Minister of Communications, Esla Usu-Ekufo, announced the commencement of the re-registration of all mobile SIM cards on the 1st of October 2021. The exercise was expected to have lasted for a period of 6 months, but was extended several times for challenges faced by SIM card users. Some Ghanaians who rushed to various telecommunication offices in Accra in a last-minute attempt to re-register their SIM cards spoke to Ashanti News.
Yeah, I'm here to register my SIM. Today is the last day, so I just try to come here to make sure I get done. We all think they are joking. It's true, we all think they are joking. So as Ghanaians, we are stubborn. We are stubborn. We wait for the last day to see is it true or not. But I know that they have given me warning severally. It can happen, so that's why I try to do it possible to already sell it. To be free, why should I wait for the last day before I should come? If they fail me, the problem is on me.
For me now, I've registered my card, but I've not gotten my card, Ghana card, and my chip too has not been registered. As I'm sitting here right now, my SIM card is not registered, but my Ghana card, I've registered my Ghana card, but they have not given me the card itself. Get me right? That's the problem I'm passing through. I'm here to explain to the MTN if they can do something about it for me. Because if they can use the forms to do something about it for me, I'll be okay.
Those are some Ghanaians who had rushed to the various telecommunications offices in Accra in a last-minute attempt to re-register their SIM cards. Meanwhile, more applicants are racing against time to resolve issues with their Ghana cards as the National Communications Authority directs telcos to deactivate all unregistered SIM cards from its system. A tour of the National Identification Authority regional offices in Kumasi suggests these applicants have been dealing with varying issues, including change of name and locations on their application forms. Some of them spoke to our reporter in the Ashanti region, Lordina Ajimanduya.
The reason is that I did a registration, but I have a problem with my name. So it's a change of name. So I went and did the affidavit. After that, I went to the post office for gazetting. So now everything is ready. My documents are here with me. But to get access to the room where they are registering the Ghana card or replacement or updates, that's the difficult aspect we are now dealing with.
So the NCA has indicated that today is the deadline to activate SIM cards. If you do not do it today, your SIM cards will be deactivated. So do you think it's fair for you?
Oh, it's not fair. But our system is not working. So if the system is not working, because Ghana card, you're not supposed to struggle and then go through difficulties. Come and see us. There are a lot of people here. How to get money? We are paying money. But how you even get access to the place to be registered is the difficult. So they are not fair.
And those were some National Identification Authority applicants in the Ashanti region. A renowned Ghanaian author, playwright and feminist, Ata Aidoo, has died at the age of 81. The iconic Ghanaian writer's classics, The Dilemma of a Ghost and Changes, among others, were taught to children in West African schools for decades. Ata Aidoo received international recognition as one of the most prominent African writers of the 20th and 21st centuries. Her family disclosed that she died after a brief illness in the early hours of today. Aidoo was a university professor and served as Ghana's education minister in the early 1980s. And that will be all with the other news from the Assassin News Desk. With me, Philip Abutiate.